Alrighty, hey, we are live, I believe. Let's check and see. So I actually started my whole spiel thinking I was live, but I forgot to even start the whole stream. So I started about 3 or 4 minutes ago and was talking to you guys thinking I was live, but I wasn't even streaming yet. So now I'm good. Nice to see you guys. Welcome back to another live stream. Thanks for tuning in. We got Yonalith and James on already. If you're on, drop a comment in the chat. Let us know you're here. Exciting news. We got the pattern all made for the Vambrace. So we're going to be able to get that going, putting that together. We'll for sure be able to get the pattern cut out. Hopefully we'll get it traced onto some foam tonight before we're through. But yeah, exciting stuff. So with that, I think I'm going to dive in and get going on this pattern and show you guys what we got here. But yeah, if you are on, drop a comment in the chat. Love to see who we've got and say hi. And I'm going to move these out of the way and switch camera angles for you guys. Alrighty. Okay, so I'm going to switch to this camera angle for a second. Here we go. So you guys can see here where I taped the pattern down to the mat to be able to take a picture of it and bring it into the computer. That's my tin and tape pattern there for the top part, and I'll kind of show you guys how this is going to go. Hey, what? For all the madness I've been through, here's a little bit to help you with FanX next week. Thank you, Yonalith. Holy cow. Let's see. I think we should have a celebration. Aha! There we are. Yonalith, thank you so much. You rock. Thank you. Holy cow. Hey, Jeremy, welcome from Canada. I can't believe I actually got to tune in live. Yeah, thanks for tuning in. Nice to see you. We're glad to have you. Welcome, welcome. Okay, so let me show you kind of what we're working with here. And again, Yonala, thank you so much. It's so kind and generous of you. You're awesome. Okay, so take my watch off here because this is the left arm. So here is the part that wraps around the arm. Let's see if I can hold it in place well enough for you guys. So this part's going to wrap around the arm. Here it's going to have straps to secure it. And then this piece right here is going to get glued on here and somewhere down in there and create the full. See if I can't use this tape that I have on it to kind of show you guys. Anyway, it's really hard to do one-handed and on my own arm. But essentially, it will go like that and come up around the arm, the elbow area, trying to get the best angle here for you guys. It's hard to do. But I've got it patterned out where I'm going to have my little slider thing. Got an open slot there for where I'm going to have the little fin come out and everything. And I've got it open on the inside to be able to add in the mechanics that we need for the lever switch thing to get the fin to come in and out. So that'll be pretty sweet. That's the tin and tape pattern that I have. But I have now the real pattern. So real quick here, you guys are going to get to see me filming a little bit of this process as well for the video, so that we can put out a video on how to make it. Let's see. Hey, Mevdine, what's up? Welcome, welcome. And then Jeremy again. Problem, glad to be back giving. Yeah, thank you so much. What kind of paper is this? It's just like a paper with a little bit of a coating on it. A little bit glossier finish kind of thing. It's not like photo paper or anything, but it does have a good look to it. Let's see. So pretty. Can't wait to see it at FanX. Flats the Flounder. So glad to see this project coming together. I've been patiently waiting for the next bit, and I can't wait for these patterns to drop. Yeah, thank you so much. I'm so glad. Thanks for your patience on it. It's something I want to finish up and get done, but it's just been one of those things that keeps getting put on the back burner, and I'm excited to get some progress on it because I'm really awesome. It's just a really awesome build, and I'm super excited to do it. So, yeah, here we go. So, sorry, I'm just looking at this picture, and I'm wondering if what I decided to do is going to work how I thought it was. Yeah, should be fine. Okay. Anyway, all right. So I'm gonna just record real quick. A couple shots of. Get that out of there. Move that off to the side. What else? I have a shot there. This tinfoil showing up. Okay. All right. So. Getting some shots for the video, a couple different angles of showing off the pattern. Okay, so now that we've done that for the cameras, we can actually do it for ourselves. Hey, April, welcome. Oh, for this, yeah. So this is, I was like, yeah, it's just like printer paper. I don't know what kind of paper it is. So yeah, this. It's not just paper. This is it does have tinfoil on the back because it is tinfoil. So this is what I use to pattern it on my arm, or slash on the mannequin's arm. And it is tinfoil on the bottom, and masking tape, contractor's masking tape on the front. So use the tinfoil to wrap around the arm, get and take all the shape, and then you use the tape on top of that to tape it down and get it to hold the shape So the tin foil helps you kind of get the shape, and then the tape helps hold the shape and gives you something to draw on to plan out your pattern. Then you cut it out, figure out how to flatten it, lay it down on the surface, take a picture if you want to digitize it, or you can just use this and trace it right onto your phone. And bada bing, bada boom, you got a pattern and you're ready to roll. So let me go ahead and change camera angles for you guys to this so you can see more what's going on. All right, so we've got our main page here, and then we have our legend, which tells you what the different pieces, the different colors means on the pattern, what you're supposed to do with it, whether it's a straight cut, bevel cut, whether you're going to be gluing something on that in that area, like it's going to be layering on top of something else, or whatever it is you're supposed to be doing. So that is super helpful on the pattern there. Now what we're going to do is lay these out, and we're going to line them up. Any of the pieces where it spans multiple pages, like on these two, we're going to tape it down the middle here and kind of fill in that gap between the two so that we're good to go. Let me grab some tape. Now where did my tape go? Aha! Okay, I'm gonna roll on these as well, real quick. So we'll do one at a time. I'll set this off to the side. We'll pull this one more into the frame. There we go. Okay, so we'll just film saying put those two together. And then bring in your tape. Voila. Pop that up. Fold that over on the back side. And then, if you want to, with a pen or a marker, you just fill in your missing lines if you want to, or if you just want to eyeball it when you cut it out, you can do that as well. So then we have that one. Now we're going to bring in this other one. Tape these two together. So this clear tape has quite a bit of static. You can actually kind of use that to your advantage. If you come down slowly on the paper there, it will pull it up to it, and then you just line it up with the other one. Flip it over. There we go. Okay. So those are the only two we needed to tape together. And looks like I got that a little off actually. Huh. It's kind of annoying. So if that happens, looks like I didn't line it up super well, which is going to be a problem for this one mostly. that happens. Not too big of a deal. Just whip out your dope knife here. I'm just gonna cut that seam back up. Being careful to not cut the paper, but just cut the seam. Which is proving a little bit trickier on this top part, but I think we're gonna be good. There we go. So yeah, take your time when you're trying to tape these together. It'll save you time, as you can see here with my mistake. And also too, it helps when you're taping these together if you want to try to like lay something kind of heavy along either side, so that when you line it up, your paper's not gonna move around too much on you. Okay, there we go. Okay, well now that seam is double taped, so it'll be nice and sturdy. Just connect the dots between pieces, and we're good to go. Okay, cool. So we've got these two pieces, and then we have these here. So we're just gonna start with A and cut that out. Need to find my scissors. Just a second, so let me jump into the chat real quick. What's the next piece of armor for Hiccup's dragon armor? Well, I'm gonna try to finish this first. If I finish this, then the next piece, not if, when I finish this, I'm just saying more if before Comic-Con, before FanX next week. But after I finish this, the next piece is probably going to be figuring out the undersuit. Because I feel like I need to have that figured out, because then there's some layers that go on top of that that lead into the legs, and then those connect to the boots. So I think I'm just going to continue to work the rest of the way down from there. So after I have the Vambraces, I'll just have a pair of leather gloves I throw on underneath that. The upper body will be basically done down to the sternum. There's a little piece that kind of connects on the undersuit that is around the stomach area. And then it's kind of all one piece, like this jumpsuit underneath that he kind of has. And then there's like some pieces that connect, that run down the legs. And he has his little holster thing. And then the boots and the boot and peg leg would be, and then the wings. So yeah, kind of just working the way down from there. Let's see. All right. And then Jeremy says, "Oh, cool. Then that's exactly the same way I make my patterns." Perfect. Yeah, yeah. Super easy. And I recommend. Some people will use duct tape. I recommend using the contractor's like masking tape. It's really easy to draw on. It shows like drawing on it with a marker or pen or whatever. It shows up really well because it's a lighter color than using like a painter's tape or a duct tape. The other thing is too, with the masking tape, it's a lot cheaper than doing duct tape. Duct tape is going to hold really well. Painter's tape holds, but it kind of, might have some kind of peel off just because it's meant to not like stick permanently. The contractor's tape, it's going to hold better than painter's tape. It's not as strong of a hold as duct tape, but you don't really need it to be like a super strong hold. It sticks to the tinfoil. And hey, Sindley Ketrin, welcome to the Apprentice Squad. Thanks for subscribing. So glad to have you. But yeah, so I recommend doing the contractor's tape. You can get a big pack of them for like not too much, especially compared to how much you'd be looking at for like a painter's tape or duct tape. So I really like doing that. Tinfoil is really inexpensive. That tape's really inexpensive. It's a great way to pattern without using a lot of expenses. So making some stuff for Halloween. Gotta start early. Yeah, good call. Get on it now. I always wait too long and then I'm like halfway through my costume by the time Halloween hits. Gonna have to figure out how I'm going to make my glove pattern since I'll be wearing this arm/shoulder sling to cons moving forward. Yeah, that'll be tricky to figure out. What situation is suitable to do angle cuts on foam? Not fully sure what you're asking on that, Jeremy, but I'm guessing the perfect example, one example right here on this pattern is right here with these pieces. I have beveled cuts on all of these because what's going to happen is these pieces are going to sit on top of this piece, and if you look at the examples of, you can't really see it in this picture here, but on his Vambrace, these pieces kind of have like a grooved gap between them. So originally I was thinking just this was going to be one piece and I was just going to like wood burn a V groove into this and add my scales on top, but then I noticed it's actually a second layer. So these are going to glue on top of here, but I'm cutting these all at a bevel here so that they kind of will meet at a groove in the middle. I'm going to cut a bevel on them and then I'm going to sand them a little bit just to kind of round that bevel off. But that saves you a ton of time instead of just cutting it straight and then trying to Dremel your bevel in. Cutting that bevel to begin with is going to get rid of a lot of foam that you don't have to sand and get all dusty and everything, and then you can just barely do a little bit of sanding just to kind of round that off there. Other situations is if you have a harsh angle in your piece. Like for example on this Wonder Woman Gold Eagle helmet here, we've got kind of this hard angle here where it meets here and then changes and goes this way. So actually what I did is I cut the foam at a bevel along on each of these, this side of the pieces, and actually glued them together. So with the two bevels, when they glue together, they'll actually sit at that angle. And it's a great way to hide that seam, because when you hide the seam right along a change in direction, it's nearly impossible to tell that that was a seam because there's already meant to be a direction change right there. So it doesn't stand out and you're like, oh yeah, there's a seam there. So bevels can be great for that. They can be great for trying to get the exact angle that you need, gluing two things together. Yeah, all kinds of uses. Sword blades, if you do a consistent bevel along the edge, once again, you can get it a lot closer to where you need to be and then just do a little bit of sanding to clean it up. Yeah, hopefully that helps answer that question, Jeremy. I don't know if that's what you were asking fully, but hopefully we're on track there. Cos Tools bevel cutter. Yeah, I need to get that new bevel cutter that they have. That's pretty sweet. I could use that on this build. Lots of bevel cuts actually. So let's see. April says, not sure if this is an easy question. Do you have any tips or tricks to splitting up a big pattern to fit on 8.5 by 11 pages? Yes. So in Illustrator, I know I'm talking to somebody that knows their Adobe programs. What I do is I just set up two 8.5 by 11 artboards next to each other, just so that they're just snapped right up next to each other. And then I will trace my piece and then just bring it in, group it all together, bring it in, and just, so imagine like, April, these are my two artboards, and this is an artboard, this is an artboard, and I have them just sitting right next to each other, and then I'll bring this piece on, and then I'll situate it where I need to, or if I need to, I'll do that same thing, but I'll attach 4 artboards right up next to each other, if it needs to span a larger space. So then if you're doing that, your artboard size is 8.5 by 11, and you stick the 2 of them next to each other. It spans the whole thing. When you print it, you're going to have a little bit of a gap where the printer can't print edge to edge. So you'll have a little bit of a gap once you stick it up next to each other, but then you just easily connect the dots between the two. And if you print it at actual size, then it's going to fit right up next to each other, just how you planned it in Illustrator. Hopefully that helped answer that question for you. So basically, on the computer when you're doing it, just have your artboard set to 8.5 by 11, stick however many together you need to, and then just denote it right here which ones need to get taped together. So I have like page 1 and 2 with little tape symbols saying, hey, tape those edges together. So yeah, hopefully that answered that question. If the pattern is a PDF, all you have to do is set it to poster in the print dialog. Yeah, so that's another option as well. So if you just set it all up on one big artboard, so it's all right there, you can just, that's how I believe Chris does it with Lost Wax, the YouTube channel Lost Wax. He sets his up, I think, just on a big, giant artboard and just lays it all out there. And then if you just print it at poster size, or with the poster setting when you're printing the PDF, it will just automatically break them into the 11 by, they're the 8.5 by 11s and do it that way. I think that's the same way that ZingProd does his as well, I believe. So yeah, that works too. I haven't played with that too much myself, because I like to try to have more control over what it's fitting on and not just relying on the computer to do it, so that I know, hey, can this build be done with just our What the Foam sheets size that are 12 by 18 sheet size. So if I can fit a piece between two 8.5 by 11s, that's going to be 11 by 17. I know it'll fit on a sheet of What the Foam. So it helps me to gauge, hey, what would somebody need? Do I need to recommend that they get a roll of What the Foam for this to do this build? Is it to span, more than, does any one piece span more than two 8.5 by 11 pages, or would I need to, or will they be able to just do it with the easy to store, sheet size? So, yeah, so great point there on that as well, Yonalith. Can I ask what kind of pattern it is? And I can help you say the PDF. Hey, what's up? Long time no see. Now it's been a while since I've said your handle name. Ogichida. Something like that. Ogichida Cosplay. But that's Welby. What's up? How are ya? Right? I'm pretty sure it's Welby. Let's see. Jeremy says, thank you. I'm actually making Maleficent horns. I'm dividing the horn patterns vertically. So should I do angle cuts? That's what I mean. I did buy the bevel cutter. Okay. So if the horn's coming out like this and it has like parts where it meets at a point, where you have those harsh lines coming around, then I would say you could do it at a bevel. Now, just be aware, the steeper the bevel that you cut on your foam, so like let's say your piece of foam is like if you had a giant piece of foam, right? We're like looking at a piece of foam like this, and if you cut a really steep bevel like that, you're going to have a really sharp angle coming off of it, right? If you cut a shallower bevel on both pieces, and that's a similar bevel, then you're going to have, you know, less harsh point, right? So you're going to go, the shallower the bevel, the more obtuse your angle's going to be, your resulting angle between the two is going to be. The sharper the bevel, the more acute your resulting angle is going to be. And I actually created a calculator, and I have a whole video on how to cut like bevels to get the exact angle you want and everything like that. There's a video on it on the channel, so check that out. I go through really simply and provide a calculator on my website to be able to just plug in what you want to accomplish, and then it tells you exactly what angle you need to cut the bevel at. It tells you a trick to be able to cut consistent beveled angles, even if you're just cutting it by hand with a razor blade yourself, so that you can get really precise angles and bevel cuts and keep your bevel consistent throughout the cut. So great little video on that. It's kind of a little bit more on the advanced side, but it's definitely a very helpful, beneficial skill and video for cutting bevels. Pattern from Maleficent horns, the artboards, yes. Okay, perfect, good. I'm glad that helped, April. What does your artboard look like so I know what to buy? It's just on Illustrator, just creating the sizes. I was talking with Susie and she wants it drawn on 8.5 by 11. I currently have it on a giant artboard, but I want to make it smaller like your patterns. Yeah, so that makes it really easy to be able to tell, you know, for you to know what size it's going to come out on. Because if you've got it drawn to scale in Illustrator, if you just do your artboards at 8.5 by 11, if you just sync those up, when you export it, it'll export them as separate 8.5 by 11 pages, and it'll line right up. So yeah, that's on the button, Skylar. Yes, it's me. Awesome. So nice to see ya. Glad you could join us. All right, sweet. So with that, let me grab a pair of scissors, which I think my kids have run off with. Oh, you got them? Thanks, love. Olivia's gonna bring me some scissors to cut this out with. So let me just tell you guys the pieces here real quick, all right? So this is the A piece. You'll recognize that from here, right? Ta-da! Look. Now this is kind of cool. Check this out. So this is how accurate that way of tracing it, bringing it into the computer is. This is the actual piece. Took a picture on this cutting mat so that I could use the measuring reference here. Brought that into the computer, set the artboard to the same size as what I was seeing here, made sure it was straightened out and everything, and then traced it. Look, this is exact replica basically of what my original tin and tape was. Ooh, actually I want to do that on camera real quick. This is a cool shot. So yeah, from tin and tape to paper. Pretty cool. So this is the A piece. This is going to be the kind of the main vambrace that wraps around the arm. I'm going to have it fully secure around like a standard vambrace, and then we're going to add our extra angle on with this piece, the C piece. All right, so you're probably wondering, where's B? Where's the B piece? And that's a great question. It's right here, the straps. So I tried to kind of go in order. You always miss something, but as you're kind of going through and labeling them with the pieces, I try to go in the order that I plan on assembling it. So the A piece, the next thing to go on would be the straps getting glued here, 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 here. So on all the patterns, all my patterns, I say the piece name, the foam thickness that you need to use, how many of them you should do, and then any other kind of notes, which on here I put leatherize. So all of this piece, once you get it cut out on the foam, you need to add a leather texture to it before you start assembling everything. Hey guys, look who it is. Oh, thank you. So yeah. So A piece, B piece are the straps that are going to get glued on next, and they'll run off this way. And then right here you can see I just had this little strip. I call this the C, and I say glue here. Now C piece. So anytime I have the shaded area, it says that something's going to be overlapping on this piece, and then I have in light shaded lettering, it says which piece is going to be getting glued onto there. Okay, so you have like the black one that says this is our A piece, and then anytime there's a shaded thing, it tells you what piece is getting overlapped or layered onto that, right? So then the C piece is going to glue just on these edges here and here and create this little kind of domed area on this as it bends out for us to be able to do our mechanics on the inside.
Hi guys.
So
thank you, Ariana. Thanks so much for your donation. Hey Welby. Haha, hi April. I'm just having some toast real quick.
Yeah, we kind of ate dinner pretty early, huh?
Yeah, I was trying to get everybody fed before soccer practice.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Just so you know, I'm going to record on this camera here for cutting this out.
So I should probably move.
Oh, you're fine.
I don't have to be in it.
Okay. You want to switch sides then?
I'll hang out back here.
Okay. So, we'll roll here, and we'll roll here, and get some shots of cutting stuff out. So on my patterns, just the solid black lines means cut here with, well, it means that it's going to be a straight cut once you transfer it onto the foam. There's other spots you'll cut out, but this just means it'll be a straight cut when we transfer onto the foam. We'll go through here in a second with the pattern notcher.
I'm just gonna hide behind you while I eat.
You're so funny. I'm like, am I even on frame? I always forget to remember to be in frame. Sometimes it's hard to do stuff for camera because it's like I would want to have this a lot closer to my face for cutting, but if I did that, I would be like on the camera. This is like cutting it, and you wouldn't be able to see what I was doing because my face would be in the way or be distracting. So this right here, I didn't think I was gonna need to have a dart in this piece because it was just a vambrace wrapping around my arm, but because we got some good shape out of it with the tinfoil and the tape and everything like that, it actually took a little bit of a curve, you know, as it comes up the forearm right here, and kind of added some little curve onto that, a little bit of more of a complex curve than I anticipated. And you could, with a dart that small, you could probably get away with just saying, okay, I'm just gonna flatten it and I'll just add a curve in with some heat into the foam later on. But I would advise, from my experience, I used to do that because I thought, okay, hey, the fewer seams I have, the better, because it's just less seams, right? And that's true to an extent. The less seams you have, the better off you are in having fewer that you have to try to hide. But I've discovered that, I mean, for the most part, you can try to hide your seams in different ways so that you can have quite a few seams, but they'll all be hidden because you kind of do it strategically. But also, too, I've found that sometimes it's, one, better for people to be able to recreate if you just have the dart in there and that adds the curve when they glue it together, so that they don't have to try to, you don't have to try to say, okay, so now once you've done this, now you have to go into this area and try to create this curve that looks just like the piece, and that's just like adds more onto the responsibility of the person trying to recreate it, to say, hey, now you have to actually try to like mimic this same curve that's on this piece, and just good luck, figure it out. You know? And so instead of having to do that and say, hey, good luck, try to figure out a curve there, I just say, you know, hey, it's not that big of a deal. This is already going to be covered up anyway underneath, but it'll be a better fit. It'll add that curve on and have kind of more of that detail to it just by adding this dart. And sometimes too, oh yeah, thanks. Sometimes too, I've found that you can almost create more visible seams by trying to say, oh, I'll push the shape into that, because the seams are gonna be pressed, like pushed to their limits a bit more, and be like, you know, pulling away from each other because you're trying to add that curve back in, trying to do it different places. Or if instead of just saying, okay, hey, I'm just gonna get this to lie perfectly flat, and then I know when those seams go together, they're gonna create exactly that curve I want. And if I get a good straight cuts on my on the foam on those seams, they'll line up nicely. And if I heat up my foam, well, after I put my glue on and it's ready to go, heat up my foam and stick those together, they'll just take the shape and take that curve, and you'll have a lot cleaner seam and cleaner curve running along there, instead of trying to force a curve in or ending up with, you know, just kind of your seams doing weird stuff. So I don't know. I'm starting to say.
Oh, you did get me that time.
I'm sorry.
We were all waiting for it to happen eventually. I was going for some chocolate.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I would advise, don't be afraid of adding a seam to get that curve, to add a dart kind of thing, and get that to relieve that pressure in your pattern, so that you can recreate it in the foam. You'll have a cleaner seam as a result, and if you position it well, like in this case, it's like, hey, I'm going to put that right along here because this part's being covered up by the other piece. No one's really going to see this seam much anyway, because it's going to be hidden underneath this, versus, you know, trying to release that pressure over here somewhere or something like that, you know, coming in with a seam over here. If you're strategic about it and you do it in the right spot, you don't even have to worry about it anyway. Pattern notcher. All right, what do we got? Cutting out the paper patterns is so fun to me. I don't know why. It's kind of, yeah, there's something that's like...
You're seeing it come together.
Yeah, it's kind of like fun to just like, you're seeing it happening, and it's like, there's something about just cutting paper in general. It's like relaxing, right?
Can I cut this out? Or do you have to film it?
Yes. Well, I don't need to film all the pieces getting cut out, just kind of the general idea of cutting pieces out.
Well, you filmed a lot of you cutting that
Yeah,
out.
so I think we're good. So now I'm just using the pattern notcher. Ooh, I should probably film the pattern notching though. You're fine.
I don't want to be in it.
You're not going to be in it. The focus is right here. um, So pattern notcher, if you have a chance to get one, I think it's like $6 on Amazon, something like that, $5 or $6, maybe $7 if you go super fancy. I don't know, they all look the same to me. But anyway, this helps a lot. So I'm just punching out my registration marks here. And that's going to help when you trace your paper onto your phone, or your pattern onto your phone. That you're just going to have a lot easier time. This is a lot faster than trying to cut them all out with a razor blade. Like, if you don't have a pattern notcher, you could just come in and just do a triangle cut, wedge cut that out, each of those little registration marks. Now this is what you do on the pattern, but you don't cut these out on the foam. This is just so that you can get your pen into those little slots and mark where these registration marks are on the pattern. Transfer that onto your foam. There's a couple that didn't quite get punched all the way. A couple hanging chads. But yeah, so that's what I'm doing here. Pattern notching, and voila. Okay. So now I do have some registration marks on this piece that are in the middle here. And that's to help line up this other piece that Olivia's cutting out. When it gets glued on here, we have some registration marks to be able to make sure it's lining up properly. So for those, you can't really use the pattern notcher, so you'll just have to go in and just kind of cut out that little triangle for you to reference. Transfer that onto your foam. Maybe recording's been stopped on that one. Not too long. You see stuff in the chat that we need to respond to?
I'm wondering what you're going to wear to FanX if you don't finish this.
Yep. I'm probably going to wear my apron and my ultimate crafting gauntlet. And masks are required at it, so I could probably wear my respirator.
But cosplaying himself.
Yeah, I'll just basically be my crafting self, the Cosplay Apprentice. Which it works out because sometimes with the panels that I do, they're demonstration panels, and
it's too difficult to dress.
And sometimes in costume, it's really hard to like be up on stage and be like bending over a table and showing people how to do, how to make stuff with foam or how to pattern or different things. So we'll see. If nothing else, I'll have these pieces on display of what I do have of Hiccup's thing, but so you guys can see it in person if you're gonna be there. And I'll bring several pieces. I usually kind of lay a bunch of them out on the table so people can see kind of like, what you can make out of EVA foam and how easy it can be, kind of thing. But how cool of results you can get. So. There. Perfect. Okay. So now the other thing that we need to do, and for those of you that are here frequently, you guys will already know this trick, but I do have a video on being able to transfer your patterns onto foam, and like a super tricky trick for doing that. Right? We have a video on that?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Pretty sure we put a video out on that. If not, let me know and we'll do a video on that. But we have these areas where we know we need to put the glue and where we're going to have other things layering on, and we want to make sure that that gets transferred onto the foam, that information gets moved onto the foam, so we know where we need to line up our straps, that they're going along the right spot. Because in our patterning, I drew all this out while it was on the arm and in place, and like looking at it from all different angles, and drew exactly where that needs to go to look like the piece, right? And so I want to be able to transfer all this information throughout the process so that I'm taking advantage of all that upfront work during patterning to help save myself some time and effort later on. So the way to do that, you don't want to just like cut these boxes out, and because then you're gonna start, your pattern's gonna start getting all floppy, and you can't cut this out and everything. So what you do is you just take your dope knife, and you're just gonna do, basically these are dashed lines here on this. You probably can't see that from the camera angle, but these are dashed lines. You're gonna basically do just that with your X-Acto knife, right? So you're gonna go along that line, go for a little bit, a good little stretch, pick up, give just like a little 1/8 of an inch gap, and then go again. Same thing over here. Nice good little stretch. I'm going to skip over where that registration mark is so that I don't have any problems there. And there you go. Now same thing this way. I'm going to do that. I'm going to start in the corner. Make sure I'm starting in the corner at least in one spot. I'm going to avoid, you know, cutting into this corner and this corner with both. I'm going to skip over where I just went with that one, and kind of do, you know, nice little dashed, long dashes, you know, across these pieces, skipping strategically every once in a while.
Hi, Jenna!
Hey, what? Jenna, how are ya? Nice to see you on. Thanks for tuning in and saying hi. And then one across there so we can transfer that. And one across here, making sure not to go all the way to the edge, because I already went to the edge with those. So does that make sense? Now, what I'm able to do, I have kind of these openings in it, right? So that now I can take my pen, marker, pencil, whatever I'm using to trace onto the foam, and I can fit it down inside of there and trace those lines on, and at least get reference points of where those are supposed to get glued on and where this will glue on along here, right? So I can transfer that information, and you can do this with all kinds of different like lines that you're supposed to be putting on, transferring onto the foam, where you can just kind of score the paper, cutting through in certain sections, leaving some gaps. That way it's not all in shreds and like flapping all over the place and really hard to trace. It stays all together, but it allows you to be able to have be able to get in there with a pen or pencil kind of thing and be able to trace what you need to. So
Jeremy, the gold helm from Wonder Woman, it's EVA foam.
Yeah.
Wants to know if it was printed or if it's EVA.
It's 4mm what the foam, EVA foam.
It's what we sell on Amazon. It's 4mm EVA foam.
Yeah, and I do have the pattern available for that on Etsy. Yeah, it turned out really awesome. Super cool thing. Like,
well, he wants to know how you got it so smooth. April just pointed out that you used Prop Monkey Studios Fine Finish. Yeah,
yes.
I loved the Fine Finish.
Yeah. Did we use Fine Finish or just Prime on this?
I don't know which one. I think we just used Prime.
I think we just used Prime on this. Prop Monkey Studios Prime.
And then for these, we used the Fine Finish.
Yeah. Or no, the armband.
Which one?
The
I don't remember.
So we used Fine Finish on the armband and Prime on the tiara. So this one we used Fine Finish on. Prop Monkey Studios Fine Finish. And then this one we did just Prime on. Prop Monkey Studios Prime. And then this one I'm pretty sure we just did Prime as well.
And then also we used, like Aaron is saying, the Plat Effects.
Yeah, and then the Plat Effects paint.
Which is awesome.
So this is their... We used basically all of this one. Which one was this one?
Gold Hour or something?
Golden Hour?
Golden Hour.
Because Gold Coin was darker,
Gold Coin
right?
was too dark.
Yeah, I think this one was called Golden Hour that we did here. Plat Effects Golden Hour. Flexible acrylic paint. But yeah, so part of getting it so smooth was using that Prime. It's sandable. So you put it on and then you can give it a light sand and everything like that. The other part is in my pattern, I hid basically all of the seams strategically. There is one seam that runs right down the middle here. Which, you know, if you catch it in just the right light, you can kind of see a little glimpse of it. But it's pretty well hidden. And it's at the top of the head. So most people are not going to see that looking straight on unless you're like, hey, look at this.
What's happening?
I don't know. Is that yours?
No.
Oh, it's my watch.
What is that?
Anyway, yeah, great questions. I'll put that back on there.
Sure.
Okay, so let me get a shot of this cutting of. I'm gonna get it up close here.
Do I need to move? I don't want to.
No, you're good. Okay, I haven't done this one yet, so we'll do that one. Sorry, there are other questions. Oh, I already started recording. Okay. Yeah, hopefully that answered some of your questions on that. That was Jeremy asking that.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. And sometimes too, you don't need to do too much of this. Like you could skip bigger sections if you wanted to, just to give yourself, if it's a relatively straight line and stuff, just to give yourself something to connect the dots when you transfer it onto your foam. But I like to try to, get it as precise as I can in transferring it on there. Because it really, the time you spent up front, this is just a little bit of time to transfer that information over, to save you a lot of time of having to try to refigure that out, or you're like, wait, no, okay, how far in do I need to place this? Now it doesn't line up. Shoot, I placed it in too far, or not far enough, or how come it doesn't line up anymore like I planned originally? So take advantage of the fact that you did the work up front with patterning. And like we've talked about before, in the forge process that I follow and recommend. Hey, what we got? Earl Patton just joined the Apprentice Squad. Welcome to the Apprentice Squad. Thanks for subscribing. I don't know if you're on the live stream or not, but if you are, we're glad to have you. So yeah, in the forge method, framework, organize, revisit, glue, embellish. That framework process is creating the pattern or finding a pattern that someone else has already made, and in creating it in that framework process, if you're not just leveraging one that's already been created by somebody, definitely that's like sometimes the longest part of the process, or can be the longest part of the process, and you take that time up front to figure out a lot of those tricky things while you're doing it in tin and tape, so that you're not making the mistakes later on down the road when you're doing it in your expensive foam. I mean, and by expensive foam, it's like
more than paper.
more than paper. It's your actual finish material instead of just tin and tape that you're like, oh, well, messed up that or drew that wrong. Let me just tape over that and try again. It's a lot easier to make mistakes early on in the patterning tin and tape process than it is once you have half your thing built, and then that mistake wastes a lot more time of redoing or whatever. So, right.
No. When did we spell embellish wrong? Were they brushed or airbrushed? Jeremy, they were brushed.
Yep.
And then we did some airbrushing. He did some airbrushing to kind of...
To add the shadows and...
Yeah, but the gold was brushed on.
Yeah, to add some... to dirty it up a little bit, to add some kind of like, you know, weathering and grime and that kind of stuff in some of the crevices and whatnot with the airbrush to give some more depth and dimension. Okay.
Ask a question, and maybe actually I'm gonna let you do that, guy, because I have no idea.
It's the dots. We cut out the dots. I'll cut this out. That's fine.
You do that. Some of mine, I'm like, ooh, it does not look as good as Skylar's cutting.
Just make sure to take your time when you're cutting your stuff out. Go right along the lines, so that when you trace it onto your foam, you're getting the exact shape you need out of your pattern.
Hiding time. I'm hiding so I'm not in his filming.
So yeah, I'm kind of just filming pieces of the video here for you guys at the same time as we're doing
You're
this.
getting the behind the scenes.
I have to move that up closer, actually. Cut along the dotted line, the dotted line. That's enough for camera. I'm going to do the rest closer to me.
Popping up behind you.
All right. Anything in the chat that we need to answer or address while we're cutting stuff out?
She said at one point in one of our videos that their Black Panther Hiccup we spelled embellish wrong.
Oh, that's likely. It's a tricky word. I probably added too many L's or too many I's or too many SH's.
No.
Probably doubled up on the SH's at the end.
That's it.
Probably. It's not that I spelt it wrong, it's just that I embellished it a bit more than what it was needed to be. So yeah, so for this one, if you watch that video on my bevel cuts, I use that technique here. And partially for me on this, because I try to share these patterns and make them available for anyone to be able to recreate this, and my goal is to have anybody that uses this be able to confidently know that their piece is going to look basically exactly like mine when they're done. I have to try to consider a lot of things, because I can't just say, hey, cut this at a bevel, and then they're like, okay, and they cut it at a really steep bevel, and I needed it to be a shallower bevel or whatever. So developed a way to be able to express on the pattern on the bevel where your blade should be entering and then where your blade should be kind of ending for cutting out the piece, and to be able to create that consistent bevel across the board. And part of that, if you watch the video on cutting the perfect bevels, it's using that technique basically, where I've done the math beforehand, and based on where you're entering and where you're exiting, you're going to get a certain degree angle cut. But all you have to do is just line up the top of your blade and the bottom of your blade on the edge of your foam before you start, and then just cut through. So hopefully that kind of thing is helpful. Now what I'm doing is just going through and doing the same thing I did before. Was showing. Calm down. I'm like getting right up, like on this piece right here. It's super tight. Like nobody, you will not be seen at all. Oh, cutie. I don't even know. Oh, my piece isn't even in there. Here we go. Okay, hold on. Where's my magnet? I'll use this tape to hold it down. This is how filming goes behind the scenes. I don't know if you guys can see what I'm doing. It's behind the frame. Yeah. But I'm basically using this thing of tape that we had earlier to hold down my little mini tripod from tipping over on my desk so that I can get this shot. So if I go along here, let's change our focus to right there. Little secret shortcut for you guys. If you're wanting to cut a 45-degree angle, the easy shortcut thing, if you just remember, is from where you're cutting, where your blade is entering the foam. If you just go in or out, depending on whether you're cutting, a bevel, like, I see it from the camera angle how I can show you. So whether you're cutting, like, I don't know how to show this, whether you're cutting into your foam or like out, basically your distance that you're going to be cutting is the same as the thickness of your foam. So if you're working with 4mm foam, you're going to draw your, you're going to be starting your cut here and ending your cut 4mm out. If you're doing 6mm foam, thank you. If you're doing 6mm foam, if this is where your blade's entering, you're going to draw your ending line 6mm out. So whatever the thickness of your foam is, you go out that far and you're cutting from your first point to your second point, and that'll give you a 45-degree angle. Hopefully that made sense. My video explains it a lot better if you guys check that out, but that is kind of a shortcut. It's just, if you need a 45, it's just you go out the same distance as the thickness of your foam. Boom, 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 boom.
Cool. It's 10.
Oh, wow. All right. Well, I think that ends it for us today.
Sorry, I didn't realize it was 10. I'm like, whoa.
It got late fast. Yeah, no worries. And also, too, you know, you might see more of our brush strokes or different things if you're holding it in real life. I mean, it is pretty smooth, but, you know, on camera and stuff like that, you're seeing it with...
It looks particularly good on camera.
Yeah, you're seeing it with really good lighting and everything, too, and
I mean, it does look...
It looks really good in
it
person,
just looks
too.
even better on camera.
Yeah, it just looks really good on camera. But yeah, so yeah, the Prop Monkey Studio stuff is awesome. Check that out. I recently got...
Gap filler?
Yeah. I haven't used it yet.
Pardon me.
And it's hard because part of me doesn't want to have to use it. Because it means that I have a big gap that I need to fill in a project. But if I run into that problem, I'm excited that I have this and to give it a try. But yeah, by Prop Monkey Studios as well. Pretty cool stuff. And Clint actually sent this to me. Super awesome, generous gift that I'm excited to be able to use. So, Clint, if you're on or you see this, thank you. Yeah, well, anyway, let's see.
Gap filler.
Ooh, I want that gap filler. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you guys for tuning in. Let's switch to the camera angle here.
Hi, guys.
Hello. Now you can see us a little bit better. But those are for grooves. Oh, inward angle or outward angle for the win.
V cutter.
Oh yeah, the V cutter. Yeah. But yeah, so yeah, the nice thing about like the cutting by hand technique in that video is like no matter what angle you're trying to get, it also tells you, okay, here's how to cut that angle on the foam, but it also teaches you when you're going to be gluing two together how to know what to cut each one at so that your resulting angle is what you want it to be, right? Because if you cut one at a 45, one at a 45, you put those together, that's going to give you a 90-degree angle, but which is, you know, most of us will be like, okay, yeah, I got that. But then once you start getting to, you know, how do I get this angle? How do I get this angle? That kind of thing. The video goes through and tells you basically whatever angle you're trying to get, you put that in and it tells you, okay, cut each of your things at this angle, which means you, and then asks you what thickness of foam you're using and does the calculation to tell you how far in you need to create your kind of point A, point B cut.
Sorry, this is jumping way back, but did you see when Sammy asked about the Mandalorian template? When patrons are going to have that?
Yeah.
We
could drop it in there as is.
Put it in and just say, hey, this isn't like
fully complete yet.
100%.
Because as we're going through it, I mean, I'm like seeing...
He's seeing things he wants to change. So that's why we haven't put it in yet.
Yeah. But, yeah, I mean...
We'll send it to you.
The base shape is good, and then you can, like, play with the earpiece things and stuff how you want to and whatnot. But, yeah, so we could add that in there.
Right now.
Well, yeah, I'm gonna make
a note.
A note, a memo.
Hey, James. He said Evil Ted did a video on gap filler. Cool.
Yeah, I haven't watched it yet, but I saw that he did one.
Are those kind of like spackling, the Prop Monkey Studios? What we have used so far, I don't know about this particular one, the gap filler, but the one that we've used is kind of like a grainy paint.
So yeah,
right?
So before gap filler they had
the primer. The prime is what we use, and it kind of is a thick, grainy paint.
The Prime one is kind of like Mod Podge-esque. And then the fine finish is kind of...
Oh, that's what it was. And then you sand it.
It's kind of like a gray...
And then it's super, super smooth and
grainy
pretty.
paint. And with the fine finish, you can even...
I love it.
You can even wet sand it. So you can get super, super smooth if you want to. And then they also have...
Something cool.
Another one. I can't... the names escape me right now, but it's not for big gaps like this is for filling big gaps, but it's for filling just kind of the little bumps and just tiny little holes in EVA foam that you have with some EVA foams.
What is that? Where is it?
It's either over there or up there.
Oh yeah, all our stuff's up here.
So I see prime, fine finish, and then there's one other one right behind it, that just fell. Rapid fill. Yeah, that's what it is. Rapid fill. I knew it had something with fill. So that's not for filling big gaps, but it's for...
Didn't we use that on this guy?
Yeah, I used the rapid fill on this, as well as fine finish, I think, after. So I used rapid fill and fine finish on this to get the... because I used white Plastidip. Wouldn't recommend it. And it bubbled and everything on me really bad, and I had a lot of problems. But we used the rapid fill, filled all those little pop mark bubbles and everything like that, and sanded down nice and smooth. And then I think we might have done some fine finish on it too, or something like that on top of that. But yeah, got a really nice clean look and effect in the end, but it was a scary moment for a time. So let's see. Olivia, do a commercial spot for Gap Filla. And then you all said, yeah, your voice is perfect for voiceover work.
Oh, thank you.
Jeremy's like, cool, so he's not evil? Yeah. Evil Ted is not evil.
It's very nice.
Unlike what his Nomaker, not, how do you?
No. Non de plume.
Non de plume.
This is exciting.
Yeah, so.
Honestly, if Skylar wasn't so busy with everything else in his life, this would have happened a lot faster. But
yeah.
Very busy people.
But yeah, but you can see when I actually did work on it between, a little bit between when we met last and now, I got the whole pattern made and digitized and ready to be able to cut out for you guys. It's just finding that time between everything. So yeah, I appreciate you guys tuning in. Sorry we had to push it back a day, but I didn't have it digitized as of yesterday, and I wanted to. Nomenclature. Thank you. But yeah, so anyway, thank you guys for tuning in. So awesome to have you. So fun to see some new faces on here. Jeremy, welcome to the live streams. We'd love to see you here again. We do this every week, usually Wednesday or Thursday. Kind of depends. If you want to get the inside scoop and keep hanging out with everybody here on the chat, we do have a Discord server, and there's an invite link in the description of the live streams. It's the only place you can find it. You're welcome to hop in there and join us over there. That's where I'll kind of put out some announcements saying, hey, we're doing the live stream tonight, or sorry, I need to postpone it till tomorrow. But that's kind of how I get the word out, because it's mostly the most legit people that are on the Discord and tune in for these live streams. So we're glad to have you as part of that stream team there, Jeremy, and everyone else that tuned in today. So yeah, thank you guys so much. Pleasure to have you all. Hey, see ya, James. Thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you guys not next week.
Nope.
FanX. I'm not doing it next week. So we'll be skipping a week of live streams, and we'll catch up on the next. But if you guys are at FanX, please come to one of my panels. I'd love to see you guys. Oh, we needed to do like the meetup plans.
If anyone wants to do a meetup, we'll talk about it on Discord.
Yeah. It'll be.
I might not be there.
Yeah, it'll probably just be me and Myron.
I don't want to be with that many people. Not with Stream Team people. Just with
it's just a lot of people there, and it's the required masks, so that's nice. But yeah, it is a lot of people to come out of such a long time of quarantine.
Too much social anxiety.
Kind of thing to see that many people. I'm excited though. It'll be fun. And we'll probably do the meetups after one of my panels. I'll have to look at what day works best for that.
You get mobbed after the panels, though. That might not.
Yeah, so, we can do it after the panel. So usually people have so many questions after the panel, and I can't take them all during the panel and everything like that. And so I tell people, hey, I'm happy to keep talking to you. We just need to go out in the hall. And then we have like a line of people that are still asking questions and things like that. So we'll do it after the panel. After the line of people is done asking their questions, and then we can all do a picture together and hang out. So
April, I knew you'd understand.
So yeah, let's see. Do have Mod Podge. I would use it, but it's not flexible.
Anyway.
Yeah.
You can continue asking questions or chatting on the Discord. There's a link in the description. Thanks, guys.
Yep. Good night. Thank you so much. Yeah, we'll let you guys continue to hang out and chat for a second.
Of how this turns out.
Yeah. Alrighty. And we'll catch you on the next one. Cosplay on, my friends.
Bye.
See ya.